Number 6.5. Mark all relevant facts until the maximum mark is in a subsection has been attained. Write max after maximum marks have been obtained. You know, on essays, say for example, a question has got a sub maximum of say 6 marks, but the learner has written more points than required. You mark them all, but you write underneath there, you know, maximum 6 marks. This is to show that you have reached the maximum that was required in the question. However, the learner or the candidate has given more responses which are correct. At the end of each essay, indicate the allocation of marks for facts and marks for insight as follows. Down there, you can see there you've got facts, it's 32 marks, and then your lasso for layout, depending on what the candidate obtained. For analysis and interpretation, for synthesis, originality, and so on, then you write the total down there of 40 marks. And when awarding marks for facts, take note of sub-maximum indicated, especially if candidates do not make use of the same subheadings. Remember, headings and subheadings are encouraged and contribute to the insight, structuring, logical flow, sequencing, and indicate clarity of thought. See mark breakdown at the end of each question. Now you will see as we proceed with the memo discussion, at the end of each question there is mark breakdown, especially on essays. That mark breakdown must forever be consulted. And then 6.8, if the candidate identifies, interprets the question incorrectly, then he or she may still obtain marks for insight. In the essay, for example, if a candidate misinterprets the question, let me make an example with what happened in March. There was a question, one essay in March, which was based on National Consumer Protection Act. But most candidates, you know, they decided to, you know, confuse Consumer Protection Act with National Credit Act. Now, if a candidate misinterprets the question, that candidate will not get marks for that question. However, the candidate still has, you know, an opportunity to get marks for insight. For example, if there is introduction and there is also conclusion, that candidate will still get those 2 marks. That's what this note means. 6.9. If a different approach is used by candidates, ensure that the answers are assessed according to the mark allocation subheadings as indicated in the memo. 6.9.10, it should be 6.9.10 there. Take particular note of the repetition of facts indicate with an R. I've already touched on that, because, you know, learners can repeat a point but differently, but still meaning repetition. Especially, I mean, let me cite an example with a common question on, say, you know, the purpose of Skills Development Act. You'll have learners or candidates repeating one thing over and over again. Just take note of that and write the capital letter R to indicate that this is repetition. The next note there, subtotals to questions must be written in the right-hand margin. Subtotals. If, for example, you've got question 2.1.6 and the subtotal of that topic, of that question, it's 4 marks. You write 4 and then you circle it on the right-hand side. And then circle the subtotals as indicated by the allocation of marks, and then only the total of each question should appear in the left-hand margin next to the appropriate question number. For example, if we make use of our question paper here, if a candidate obtained, say, 6 marks here, and it's 6 marks for question 1. The very same 6 marks will be transferred here as a total for this question next to the question here. So when you take a learner script, you know that for a total of each question, you will see it by a circled total on the left hand side next to each question. But on the right hand side, those are the totals of the subtotals, and when you add those subtotals, they should actually give you your grand total of the question. This is what this instruction means. And then note the next note there, award 2 marks to complete sentences, award 1 mark for phrases or incomplete sentences and vague answers. We have already touched on this one also earlier on, that candidates are expected to write in full sentences. And then no marks will be awarded for candidates for indicating yes or no in evaluation type questions requiring substantiation or motivation. Marks will only be awarded for the motivation. So you'll see when we get onto the memo with some of the questions, if a question requires a learner to take a stance to say yes or no, even if a learner indicates yes, there is no marks for yes, there is no marks for no, but the motivation is what will be awarded marks for. And then that's the end of notes to markers. Very, very important. And as a marker, you must constantly refer to your notes, because they will keep you on track. You'll forever remember how you should go about marking the scripts. Now let's go straight to the responses in section A. Like I said, in section A, there are no alternative answers. You've got question 1.1. I'm not going to go through question 1.1, 1.2, and so on. There you've got your responses, and is 2 marks per response, and is 10 times 2, which is 20 marks. And then question 1.2. And again, when you come to question 1.2, like I stated earlier on, still with the instructions. Look at the instruction of question 1.2 there. It says, choose a term from column B that matches with a description in column A. Write only letter A to G next to the question number. And in the answer book, for example, you can write question 1.2.6 H. So even here, we are also expecting candidates to write, for example, 1.2.1, the correct answer A, if the correct answer is A. If a candidate decides to write 1.2.1 and then write strategy, that candidate should be penalized, because that candidate is not adhering to this instruction. We are already enforcing this, because at the end of the year, you get penalized for that. So teachers, I hope you are listening carefully. Those candidates have to be penalized for that. The same applies to question 1.3. Question 1.3 there. Choose the correct words from those given in brackets. Write only the words next to the question number, 1.3.1, and then in the answer book, you write only the word or the words. For example, if according to you 1.3.1, the correct answer there is, let's see, SWOT analysis. You see, you write only 1.3.1 SWOT analysis. If the candidate decided to write this in full, write, everything down there as it is, that candidate should be penalized. Failure to adhere to instructions. Failure to adhere to instructions. Very, very, very important. And still on instructions, there is also another important instruction that I actually wanted to sensitize you on the question paper of numbering. I just want to show you that instruction on the numbering of question papers, of questions, if you are answering questions. If you decide as a candidate to renumber your question paper, you are going to be penalized. For example, question 1.2.1, if you decide to make it question 1.2.1.1, you get penalized for that, because why do you change the numbering of the question paper? You are not supposed to do that. So instructions are very, very important. They cannot be underestimated or taken for granted. And then question 1.3, the total there is 10 marks. It's 5 times 2. So you can see there our total there is 40 marks. So there are no alternative answers here. Answers as they are. These are the correct answers. And it's 2 marks perfect, as you can see there. And the total is 40 marks. So total for section A is 40 marks. And from here, we are going to take a break because we are done with section A. Like I said, there are no alternative answers. They are straightforward. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to concentrate on section B. And then on section B, that's where now I'll be taking you through each and every question that appears there and the memo, so that when marking takes place, you are sure of what you are supposed to do as a marker, and you are also sure of whether you have been marked right as a learner or as a candidate. So with those few words, we concentrate on section B. Thank you.